Okay, good morning grade 9s. I have decided to make you a video because this week we are doing revision, and what I did for yesterday's worksheet was I went and I cut them out from past years' end of year exams. So those are from the external papers today. Today's work is also from the external papers, but I see a lot of you were struggling with yesterday's. So I'm going to go through what I gave you yesterday, and I think that might help you because today you're doing the same sort of thing, and tomorrow I'm also going to give you questions from past papers. Okay, so I'm going to run through the worksheet that I gave you guys yesterday. The first question was a fraction question. So with these ones, what's important is I would first go and rewrite all these improper fractions. All these mixed fractions as improper fractions. And remember how I showed you that if you have something that looks, let's say for example, it looks like this. 3 over 2x. Remember, this is exactly the same thing as writing 3x over 2. You're allowed to put that letter at the top. Okay, it's going to help you when you are multiplying and you're dividing with your fractions. Okay, so the first thing is, if you look over here, this 3z squared, we're going to leave it like that. And remember, with BODMAS, you always do the brackets first. So I'm going to go and rewrite this nicely so it looks like that. Remember, we did this in that extra class, that Saturday class. Okay, so first of all, if I want to change a mixed fraction, I times it by the bottom and I plus the top. So 4 times 3 is 12 plus 2 is 14. So you know it's going to be 14 over 3. And then remember, I told you go rewrite the letter at the top. Like we put the x at the top, you're going to put the z cubed at the top. Z to the 3 at the top. Okay, divided by 7z over 2. That one is already written nicely. We like them written like that. It really helps us. Okay, so now, what do we do when we have a divide and it's a fraction? We change it to a times and we flip the second fraction. So this becomes 14z cubed over 3. You change it to a times and you flip it, so it becomes 2 over 7z. Okay, now you are allowed to do more than one thing here. You can either cancel stuff out that's between these two, or you can cancel stuff out that's between those two. Or you can just say top times top and bottom times bottom. Okay, so if I go and do, I think let's stick with top times top and bottom times bottom. I think it makes it a bit easier. Okay, so top times top here, 14 times 2 is going to be 28. Then you still have z cubed. All over 3 times 7 is 21z. Okay, now you are allowed to cheat with your calculator. They do let you use a calculator in your end of year exams, so I'm going to let you use it now. But first of all, if I look here in this bracket, do you agree with me? One of these z's, let's use a different color. One of these z's can cancel with one of those z's. So if I cancel one of them, I'm left with 2, right? And then the other thing that you can do is now check 28 over 21. Can it simplify? 28 over 21, it simplifies down to 4 over 3. So you can have 4 over 3 and you're still left with a z squared, which you can write at the top or you can write next to it now. I'm going to write it next to it. I'll show you why. So this is z to the 2. So like for example, if I had 4z to the 2 over 3, remember I could rewrite it as 4 over 3 z2. Just so that you can see now, I have 3 z2s minus 4 over 3 z2s. This z squared, or the z to the 2, it's like terms, so you can add them. You can check on your calculator. What is 3 minus 4 over 3? It's going to be 5 over 3. So my final answer is 5 over 3 z to the 2. Okay, if you're struggling with fractions, remember there's lots of videos on YouTube that you can go look up. how to work with your fractions, I just like to, when I'm timesing and dividing, I like to make sure that the letter is nicely snuggled up at the top there with the number, because then when I'm timesing it's easy to see. You understand? When you're plussing and minusing, it's nice to write it next to it, because then you can see it's so many of this minus so many of that. Okay. Alright, the next one is new work. So this must have been quite challenging for you guys. I've sent you 2 videos on FOIL, on how to FOIL. Okay, so just remember, FOIL is like this. And it means first, outer, inner, and last. What do we do when we have a binomial square? Now, binomial means it's 2 things in the bracket. Okay, so I'm going to write it here because we're going to run out of space. It means I must write this thing out twice. Remember, 5 squared means 5 times 5. So bracket squared must mean bracket times bracket. Okay, then we still have this whole thing. Okay, so I realize that you probably haven't seen too much with the number in front. So what I want you guys to do, if you have a number in front and then you still have to go FOIL this whole thing, I want you to leave the number in front and put your answer to this in a bracket. You can use whatever bracket you want. Okay, now I'm going to go and FOIL. So over here, first times first means x times x. X times x is x squared. So that's first. Then I must do outer. Outer is the outermost ones. X times negative 3 is negative 3x. Then we have inner, which is the 2 innermost ones. Minus 3 times x is minus 3x. So we've done outer and we've done inner. And then we must do last. So it's minus 3 times minus 3, which is positive 9. Okay, I'm assuming with this foiling stuff, you guys have watched all the videos on it, so it shouldn't be too difficult now. Do you see that we have 2 brackets times each other again with a number in front? So I want you to do the same as what you did here. Just leave the number there and let's FOIL what's going on here, because then afterwards we can times the number in. So we've got first, x times 2x is 2x squared. Then we're going to do outer. X times minus 5 is minus 5x. Then we must do inner, these 2 innermost ones. Plus 1 times 2x is plus 2x. Anything times 1 stays the same. And then lastly, 1 times minus 5 is minus 5. Okay, so now you've gotten rid of those brackets, you FOILed them nicely. Now what we're going to do is look inside here. After you FOIL, there's always going to be some like terms that you can add up. If you look in this bracket, do you see you have minus 3x minus 3x? Those are like terms, so I can go and I can add them up. So now I'm going to have 2 times x squared. What is minus 3x minus 3x? Minus 6x. Okay, then you still have plus 9, so that can stay there. Alright, now you still have this minus 3, open bracket. Now we're going to go do the exact same thing. Do you see you've got minus 5x plus 2x? Those are both like terms, so you're going to add them up. So you've still got 2x squared. So minus 5x plus 2x is minus 3x. Okay. Why did I not add the 2x squared and the 3x? Because they are not like terms. This one has a square, that one is plain. You can only add things up if they are absolutely identical. Okay, now we're going to get this number in front away. Remember, if it's touching the bracket, like it started off by touching the bracket, it means times. So now you must times it in. And remember, when you're timesing into a bracket, it's like pizza. You want to give everybody a slice. So you must give a slice of the 2 to the x squared. You must give a slice of the 2 to the 6x. And you must give a slice of the 2 to the 9. Okay, so 2 2 times x squared is 2x squared. 2 times minus 6x is minus 12x. 2 times 9 is plus 18. Okay, same thing with this one, the minus 3. Remember, it's not just 3, it's minus 3. You want to times it by all three of those things. So minus 3 times 2 is minus 6x squared. Minus 3 times minus 3x is plus 9x. Minus 3 times minus 5 is plus 15. Okay, we are almost at the end. I know these are quite difficult, but you can practice lots of them till you understand. Now we're going to add up the like terms. So, do I have any other x squareds? Here's another x squared. Okay, so 2x squared minus 6x squared is minus 4x squared. Okay, so that's that one done. Then, minus 12x plus 9x is what? It's going to be minus 3x. And then lastly, 18 plus 15 is going to be 33. Okay, and that is your final answer. So you're taking it all the way from this complicated thing all the way down to here. Okay, so just to run through it one more time. When I see bracket squared, I must write it out twice. 2 brackets with 2 things inside means that I must FOIL. But before I could FOIL these, I noticed that there's numbers in front here. So I'm going to leave it in a bracket. I'm going to FOIL, add up the like terms, and then only multiply the number in. After I've done that, I go and I add up my like terms. Okay, I know it's quite difficult, but the more you practice, the more you will understand. Okay, this one with the negative exponents. You guys, we also did this at the end of last term, so it shouldn't be anything too new to you. There's more than one way to go about this, really there is. You could either take the negative 2 and you could times it into each of these, or you could first deal with what's going on in there and then flip it upside down because it's negative. I'm going to take it in for you guys. Okay, so remember, when you're raising an exponent to an exponent, you go and you multiply. What is the imaginary exponent here? By the 2. The imaginary exponent is 1. So it becomes 2. 1 times negative 2 is negative 2. Over here, x. Negative 1 times negative 2 is positive 2. And by the y, remember there's also an imaginary 1. So 1 times negative 2 is negative 2. So you have y to the negative 2. All over. 3 is also to an imaginary 1. So 1 times negative 2 is 3 to the negative 2. It was y to the positive 2. So positive 2 times negative 2 is y to the negative 4. Okay. So now remember, whenever you have a negative exponent, you're going to move it. So if this 2 is to the negative 2, you're going to take it to the bottom and make a positive 2. The y to the negative 2 is going to go to the bottom and make a positive 2. Okay, so that's what's going to happen. So let's just draw a line so we can nicely move things around. Okay, this 2 to the negative 2, I'm now going to put it at the bottom with a positive exponent. Okay, that y to the negative 2, I'm also going to bring it down and make it positive 2. Okay, the x to the 2, that can stay at the top, right? Because that exponent is positive. Now look at the bottom, the 3 to the negative 2, we're going to take it to the top. So it's going to become 3 to the positive 2. The y to the negative 4, we're also going to take it to the top. It's going to become y to the positive 4. Okay, so now you can work out your numbers, you can cancel things out. If you look at the top, 3 to the power of 2 is 9. I'm going to write it in front because we like the numbers in front. Okay, you can work out the bottom. 2 to the power of 2 is 4. Okay, now, do you guys agree there's more y's at the top, right? Well, let's first write down the x. So the x squared, there's nothing to cancel with, right? So the x squared can just stay there. Now, let's go back to the y's. So we have 4 y's at the top and we have 2 at the bottom. So these 2 are going to cancel with 2 of those, and I'm only going to be left with 2. So you're going to be left with y to the 2 at the top. Okay, like I say, there's many ways to go about this. Maybe you find this way complicated and you prefer to do it another way. That's up to you. Okay, so just remember there's different ways to go about this. If you wanted, let me just do an alternative version over here. If you wanted to, what you could have done is, so here in the bracket you have 2 to the x, let's just write it again, over 3 to the y. Okay, what you could have done is started with what was in the bracket. So you would have the 2 and the y could stay at the top, but you're going to bring the x down. So it becomes 3x to the positive 1 over y to the 2, all raised to the negative 2. Then you could have cancelled that y with one of those y's and then simplified it down. You would have had 2 over 3xy, all raised to the negative 2. Okay, then taken your 2 in, or you could have inverted it. You could have made it 3xy over 2 all to the positive 2. So flip the whole thing and make it a positive 2 and then take your 2 in. There really are different ways. I just want to keep it consistent with doing that way, I think. Okay, next one. So, this has got a few different things. With your square rooting and your cube rooting, remember with square root you divide powers by 2. With cube root you divide powers by 3. And the numbers you can check on your calculator. So for the number over here you're allowed to do it. The square root of 169 will just be 13. So that's just going to become 13. Then the power over here we're going to divide it by 2. So 6 divided by 2 is 3. Times by. Now this looks very complicated. It's y over p to the 99q raised to the 0. But remember, anything raised to the power of 0, doesn't matter what it is, just becomes 1. So that's actually super simple. We changed it from that to a 1. Okay, then remember I said cube root, you divide the power by 3. So it becomes x to the power of 12 divided by 3 is 4. Okay, then 13x to the 3 times 1 is just 13x to the 3, all over x to the 4. So now you can cancel. Clearly, 3 of those are going to cancel with 3 of these, and I'm only going to be left with 1 at the bottom. So your answer is 13 over x. Okay, still quite simple. Let's go on to the next one. Alright, these ones again, we did a little bit of this at the end of last term. Remember, what you want is if you have x in the exponent, you want this side to also be 5 to the power of something. Okay, so what you're going to do is you're going to check on your calculator 25. So this side can stay the same. And you're going to do this side. 25, check what it is. 5 to the power of what gives me 25? Let's try 5 to the power of, okay, let's start with 1. 5 to the power of 1 is just 5. So that doesn't work. We want 25. So now let's do 5 to the power of 2. 5 to the power of 2 is 25. So that's great. We can make this 5 to the power of 2. But remember, you want the 5 at the top. You want them both to be at the same place. So if I take that 5 to the 2 to the top, it's going to become 5 to the negative 2. Remember, if I move exponents around, the signs change. Taken it to the top, so the exponent became negative. Then once you get to this spot, it's nice and easy. You can make the exponents equal to each other. So now you can say, therefore, x plus 2 equals negative 2. And then you can solve for x. If I take this 2 over, becomes x equals minus 2. This was a positive 2, so it's minus 2. So x equals negative 4. Okay, so these are actually quite easy. All you do is you play around with your calculator until you get the base to be the same. So 5 to the power of something. Okay. Alright, 3.3.1. This was the flow diagrams. Flow diagrams are nice. I like flow diagrams. They give you a flow diagram. This, remember this side, this whole part, that's your input. And this side is your output. Okay, so in other words, if I replace this x with a -2, so half times -2 plus 2 should give me a. 0 times a half plus 2 must give me 2. B, if I put it in there, do the whole thing, must give me 4. So if they give you the input and they're asking for the output, that's very simple. This is your formula. The formula is, and it's always y equals a half x plus 2. Okay, output is y, input is x. Okay, so these values get put where the x is, and then whatever comes out is the y. So if they give you the input, all you have to do is substitute the number they give you into the x. Whenever you're substituting, I've told you this before, please remember to use a bracket in case your sign changes. So 4 minus 2, because they want a, they want this one. I'm going to put the -2 into this formula. So if I want to put something in, if I want to substitute, I must use a bracket. So instead of x, I'm now going to write a bracket. And then I'm going to replace it with the input value. Okay, and that's nice and easy. All I have to do is punch that into my calculator. So it's a half times -2, close my bracket, plus 2 is 1. So y equals 1. So that's nice and easy. So this a value over here, this is just 1. A equals 1. Okay, and then remember when they're asking you for the input value, you are doing the reverse situation, because now they've given you the y value. So remember, your formula looks like this. Okay, they've now given you the y value, so you're not going to replace it where the x is, you're going to replace it where the y is. So this whole thing, a half x plus 2, must equal the output value. This is what comes out of this formula. So now they've given you the output is 4, and they're asking you for b. So they're asking you to find the x, you see. Okay, so if I solve, remember with any equation, so a half x, if I want to take the 2 over, it becomes 4 minus 2. Let me carry on over here. So a half x equals 4 minus 2 is 2. Okay, now at the moment you're timesing it by a half. So if I want to take the half over, I must do the opposite of times. So x is going to be 2 divided by a half. And you can check that on your calculator. 2 divided by a half. And that gives me 4. So this input value over here, this is 4. So therefore b equals 4. If you want to, you can go and double check. You can fill it in. If I were to put, so if I said a half, and then I put the number 4 in instead of x, close my bracket, plus 2, do I get 4? Yes. Okay, so my input value must be 4. Okay, so that is the flow diagram stuff. And lastly, we've got, oops, just make sure this paper is in the shot. Okay, if I have the table form, it's very much the same thing as this. Okay, I know it's confused, it looks a little bit more confusing, but it's the exact same thing as a flow diagram. So you know how your x values were here and your y values were here? Your x values are now there and your y values are now there. So they've just basically left out this in-between stuff. They've given this that way and this underneath it. Okay, so it's still, x is still input, y is still output. So the first thing is find the rule in the form y equals. Now remember, I told you guys, I think I sent a short video to the group. This is the same as number patterns. What you're going to do is you're going to check your output values. You're going to check your number pattern. Always look at output. Okay? So from here to get to here, what am I doing? From here to get to here, what am I doing? Minus 10 to minus 7 is plus 3. From minus 7 to minus 4, you're plussing 3. From minus 4 to minus 1, you're plussing 3. Okay, so we know our formula is going to be y equals 3 something. Then remember, you always say, like in number patterns, we always used to say 3n. But now your input, we represent it with an x. So it's 3x. Okay, now you kind of have to figure out what must I... Okay, so remember your first input is negative 3. So now we're going to test it. So if I were to say y equals 3 times negative 3. What is 3 times negative 3? It's negative. This equals negative 9. But when I put in that negative 3 in here, what am I supposed to get? I'm supposed to get negative 10. So what would I need to do to negative 9 to get to negative 10? I would have to subtract 1. So if I subtract 1, that would be my formula. Because negative 3, or 3 times negative 3 is negative 9. If I subtract 1, then I'm going to get negative 10. So what your whole process is you check what must you plus every single time. So we know it's plus 3. Then we write down x because that's my input. Remember, you want your formula to look like that. So it's 3 times x. But that's not the full formula. You must still figure out what are you plusing or minusing. So now I'm going to replace it with my first input value. My first input value was negative 3. So 3 times negative 3 gave me negative 9. But it's supposed to make negative 10. So I must still go minus 1 to get to negative 10. Okay, last one, they say determine the value of q. Now they've given me 8. Remember, y is output value. They want input value. Okay, so if your formula looks, remember we worked out the formula, y equals 3x minus 1. Is 8 the x or is 8 the y? 8 is the y because y is the output value. So I'm going to make this whole thing 3x minus 1. I'm going to make it equal to 8. Okay, you're trying to find this x. You're trying to find the input value. And now you solve it. So take your minus 1 over. So 3x equals 8 plus 1 because it was minus 1. So 3x equals 9. Then if I want to get rid of the 3, I must divide. So x equals 9 divided by 3. So x equals 3. So therefore this q value over here is 3. Therefore q equals 3. Okay, it's quite difficult, so that's why I decided to make you a video. But go through this video and then try the exam questions that I gave you for today.